enjoyed this week's episode, and please like this video, share with your friends and dock mates, and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us get more viewers like you.
All right, so our galley float. Remember, this is not a sink. Nothing on this boat should ever be sink. Only floats. So this is probably the original sink. Dang! I called it what it shouldn't be called. Sorry. Okay, this is probably the original float because when we were going through the paperwork that was left to us from the original owner. So we bought this boat from the original owner who bought it in 1984. Like some years later, the manufacturer of the float and the builder of the boat sent out a letter to all the owners that said, hey, some owners have complained that your floats have been rusting. If it's rusting, let us know. We'll put in a new float for you. And I don't think our owner ever took advantage of that because it's rusty and there's a hole in it. There's a hole in our float. So if there's a hole in our float, then it's a sink. Then it's a sink. All right, now we can just call it a sink. But there's a hole right down here. So in this drain area, there's like a few pinholes around this corner. You can't really see it because it's covered in sawdust. Because I've been using this as a workbench to cut stuff on. But right around in there, there's a few pinholes. One of them is bigger than the other. And of course, our float leaks, so therefore we can call it a sink. So that's why I think this is an original sink. Maybe it was replaced. I mean, that was probably, maybe 35 years ago when that message went out. But anyways, it's time to replace it. And I think why it was rusty is because this pump, this is connected to this foot pump right there. And that foot pump, when you step on it, pumps out raw water from whatever water source the boat is floating in. Usually that would be salt water, right? So we've got to clean that up. Sorry, what am I saying? I'm losing track of my speaking right now. Why is that important? Oh, salt water. So this one over here is the freshwater one. So this one's hooked up to the freshwater that comes out of the tanks. This one's hooked up to the seacock so when you pump it, raw water comes out from whatever you're floating in. So usually, because this is an ocean-going, blue water capable cruising sailboat, it's going to be salt water. So when you pump it, salt water comes out of there, goes into here, this side of the sink. It's a dual chamber sink. And we know what salt water does to metal. So that's my theory as to why this side has chosen to rust. It's because for many, many years, this has been using salt water. And that's okay. I'm an advocate of having the saltwater, raw water pump at your galley float because you can save fresh water. So if you wanted to just do a quick raw water rinse of dirty dishes and then maybe wash them in seawater and then do a freshwater rinse, you're saving your fresh water as you're doing your dishes. So yeah, that's a good reason to have raw water at your galley float. So it's got to come out though, because this float is now sinking because it has a hole in it. So I'm going to try to figure out how this can come out. And then from there, we'll take measurements and figure out what float we're going to replace this sink with. So yeah, let's get that going. Let's do it. All right, we're very close to have this float removed from the boat. So these were holding it together. So there's like these little welded tabs on the side of the tank, this little like clamp like fits into that welded tab like that, and then it screws and puts pressure on the bottom side of the countertop there. So it's pretty easy to get them out. Once you can reach them all, you just got to take this out. You don't even really need to unscrew them all the way. Get it loose enough to kind of just turn it in place, and then like that, it pops right out. So now this should be, yep, loose. Okay, let's lift this out and cross your fingers for us that we don't have a bunch of dry rotten countertop. That would be bad. We don't want dry rotten countertop. I don't think they went to any additional trouble to seal the wood that they cut away for the sink, from what I can kind of tell. So let's lift this out and see what kind of surprise is laying underneath it. Let's go. Float is on the floor. And this is what we've been left with. Oh my gosh. You guys, I was expecting this to just be totally rotten. That is solid. There's not even, it doesn't even look like there's a little black spot right there, but I think that's just part of the wood, because if there was a leak, you know, this would have been black too. There's a bit of sealant there, or yeah, a little something. Wow. I was not expecting this wood to be in that good of condition. What's this? Nope, just a little bit of sealant that's squeezed out onto the wood there. Oh my gosh. You kidding me? That just accelerated our project by a day, because I was thinking I would have to fix a bunch of dry rot. Wow. Okay. I'm kind of in shock. So let me gather my thoughts and put a plan together, because like I said, my plan kind of changed right now. So let me think on this and get back to you. Okay, I have a plan. So we've removed the float that is leaking, so therefore we can call it a sink. The wood countertop where the sink was is still in pristine condition. Don't mind the stain here. That'll should clean up relatively easily. Now, the plan is to replace that with, Devin wants the captain, the admiral. She made the decision, and I'm okay with it. There's pros and cons, but let's discuss that maybe with her. But we're gonna go with a single basin float rather than two separate ones. Now, pros and cons, the debate over that is out of scope for what we're talking about right now. So let's just talk about the project. So the good news is we don't need to replace we don't need to replace the countertop, thank goodness. We don't even need to fix any dry rot, thank goodness. We just need to do some cleaning. Now, the biggest thing that we want to do is get the biggest sink that we possibly can that could fit in this space. And I think the only way we can get more space is if we go wider this way, because we have a pantry here, beautiful pantry with storage and a lift out bottom, and then this lip goes, I don't know, what is that, like maybe 4 inches, 5 inches? Well, let's measure it. Where's my tape measure? I left it in the car. So I think what we could do is probably cut out more of our countertop this way, slightly, to get us a little bit wider of a float. And, I mean, the only thing I don't like about that is it might kind of look funky and be off center a little bit if it's too wide. We can't cut this way more because this piece here, I don't know exactly what it's for, but it goes through it's not even through, it's just like butted up against this aluminum plate, this threaded bar. It goes through this nice decorative grab handle that we're gonna keep. And then it goes down into this type of assembly here. It is loose, which I don't like, and I'm gonna have to tighten that up. For whatever reason, someone loosened it. But it appears to be structural, so we don't want to remove that. So I can't like take the countertop too far that way, because otherwise we bump into this structural componentry. Let's see if we can take a better look at it from down here. Yeah, well, I mean, maybe a couple inches out to here, maybe. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Let's see what we can come up with. And see how big of a sink we can actually, see how big of a float we can actually put in our boat. I like it. There's a stink bug. Check him out. One of these little bastards landed on my shoulder. I think it bit me because it was like kind of like a bee sting. I didn't know they bite. Hate those things. All right, I'm gonna come up with a plan. Let's see what size of float we can fit in this boat. You're gross.